Right, so here's your plan. So we set off the Enlightenment one last time. So I know we tried it last time when everyone was like, oh, we're all going to die. But no, we didn't all die. We made it. So we're here to 2026. We didn't die. So Kant saved us and we've made it this far. I know things are going a bit wrong at the moment, but we can get it back. So the proposition is the chaos set off the Enlightenment again. So we go back to telling the truth and we defer to reality. So it's a time and tested strategy. You can try it yourself at home. It's called telling the truth, and it's generally what you'd expect in a public body anyway, so which is why a lot of these little crooks are going to be going to jail. But you set off the Enlightenment towards the English again, so they can pussyfoot around because they're not Celts. At the end of the day, they can't come up north because we're just bigger. The late father did well at getting the DNA off a Manchester woman, but you want to be Celt Anglo, not the other way around. You're going to be larger. You're like the cold, so really cold weather people are just terrifying. So you have the intelligence and whatever the English give you, that sort of spirit, I suppose, to just kill people. Matched with the brawn, intellectual and philosophical and linguistic sense is probably quite good in many areas of life. But yeah, you set up the Enlightenment towards the English so we can sort the country out and actually protect it from the current invasion, then help the French and help the Germans because Kant saved us. So then we've got a three-country new European project we can get behind. I'm pretty sure the Poles will be quite happy with that. I've got to be honest. We can put it to them and see what they say. But that's a possible solution to resolve our current woes. So we do the anti-migration draw stuff. That's pretty good. Security is obviously Bolton's job, but drones are of course our a proximal concern, and again we're giving you your chance to practice. So if you're an English longbowman in the 21st century, all ages welcome, but given the state of the country, possibly adult men might be better for the current polis. But the Bull Street Court is probably fairly easy to get drones down. You can observe people, you can find them. So if Birmingham City Council tenants are expected to go from their homes in the polis of Birmingham to the court to discuss possession orders for their property, then clearly the managing director can come down and discuss her words and actions and discuss matters with her own court officer. So she can discuss it in front of a court, she can discuss it in a cathedral, or she can discuss it in a castle. So she can pick one of the three perhaps, but two of the three she's not interested in thus far. So we'll continue tearing your ass out from space daily, hourly, whatever it is, until the police turn up. Once again, I keep saying this kind of stuff for the recording. We're now close to 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. Again, I'm not exactly difficult to find. I'm sitting on a bench. The police could contact me fairly easily, but haven't. So West Midlands Police Chief can account for why his officers do security, and you've got two of his guys being attacked with an iron bar because for some reason they can't defend themselves. In our bit of compliance, when we're kind of used to that, we don't sort of have riot shields and weapons. We sort of go about and talk to people. So as a result, we're used to really sort of going into situations where you're expecting to have to defend yourself, but because those kind of people are doing your security reviews and telling you why it's not acceptable, then we're leaving till that's resolved. It's not a case of you've decided you don't like it and it's inflammatory. I'm saying we have no security because of the postmodernist nonsense and the invasion morons. So a gentiary is criminally liable just on personal terms, but would like traitor clearly apply to her. If you are currently attacking the country or attempting to subvert it, or trying to pervert the course of justice when you're discussing entryism by hostile foreign nationals into a British public body who are attacking Britain and the country, issuing mandatory equity training which tells people that Britain is quote-unquote not innocent as a pretext for stealing from them because they don't quote-unquote look like Birmingham, then people who behave like that are being removed and deported. So, Darren Canning could explain that kind of stuff to my MP, couldn't it? Police, solicitors, did you think broadcasting that kind of stuff through people's screens after the little cretins who got into their meeting had a giggle? Let's see how we can get things today. Yeah, so Lindsay is clearly correct. I mean, when you think about it, work it out. It's just a pretext for looting the place. Send silly messages. Sit in your office. Don't do occupational health. Expect your staff just to do it themselves because you're not actually interested in their bodies or their minds or their careers, and then obviously stab them to death because you've got the breakdown of the country. Expect them to work in places where your neighbours are getting knives out in the middle of the night and attacking each other, or go to an office where you're going to be attacked by some kind of activist or some moron who wants money and is pretending to quote unquote manage because some document says they're qualified to do so when they're evidently not, and corrupt and dishonest and generally incapable. Our specific organisation broke down because of just too many women and you couldn't manage them. So you've got this gaggle of people sort of draining public resources, funneling money to these sort of friends and family projects. And when you talk about legal compliance, it's all sort of giggles and titters because they don't care. And they would use the resources to try and manage out, of course, anybody who raised compliance matters, because Southall was effectively a leisure centre manager. So I'm sure she's used to managing, I don't know, teenagers or something who she can talk down to. But in terms of any kind of serious adult compliance matters, of course, she runs and hides. So the great thing for the witness statement is you've been firing howitzers into their servers every day, and this little woman has been hiding behind her computer doing nothing. So again, if you can find these people physically in Birmingham, not hard with drones, just ask this woman any kind of question. I'm totally happy to answer it in Edinburgh. Again, we're going to be putting ourselves out there, to put it mildly, in support of getting the country back on its feet. So you're throwing yourself into work, and this little cretin can explain what she's been doing from November till now. She's got several years worth of political theory to catch up on, plus actually sort of analysing events as they happened in reverse and this kind of stuff. I can now do it fairly easily now the brain is actually working correctly. The good thing about going to actual doctors, I mean actually looking them up on screens and fixing your own brain, because you're a clever autodidact, by the way. Birmingham has still never given me any direct access to a doctor from November till now. I signed up to a GP's clinic, but whatever they could have done was already over. They are seriously criminally negligent. I mean, for the recording, this is good for the witness statement. They have no interest in their staff, and they were just dumping people off during the pandemic to die. They'd gotten used to putting up with this, but when we came out and they were still attacking people, with the goodwill clearly gone, it was okay. Well, we have to discuss the law, and of course, because it had gone to criminal liability quite early on in the witness statement chain, they were just refusing. So it all went to criminal proceedings as soon as Fern refused to contact solicitors. So it's clearly not an unreasonable request at that point to walk down to McGrath and Co, even if they get a referral up north. So we could have got documentation more easily than my. I'm not going to go into why that was a problem getting up here, but it was clearly not an unreasonable request in terms of safety concerns. Rule one of the job back in the day was, has everybody made it home safe? If you weren't doing that, you shouldn't have been in the departments. But because that culture went with the corrupt plutocrats looting the place, it all went south, and because of the general corruption and the total breakdown in security, you couldn't legally run the place. So every time, it's not even your name, you're putting your name to another man's name, saying, yep, certify this stuff off, nothing else we can do, I'm going to attack this person now. Nah, you can't do it. And when Fern started behaving badly, you can't do it because he's then corrupt. So in the statement chain, you're signing off and saying, well, this person is obviously fit to make the decision as well, but he wasn't, because he wasn't and couldn't address the behaviour of his ops manager or the political situation, because he hadn't worked for community services as I'd done, or been involved by the late father in Birmingham Labour's antics. Nobody else could do what I can do, but because he's so dumb and dishonest, he thought he could play the bureaucratic game and play silly games with computers. But I've been corrected at every single point. People are now dying. You have got these sort of obviously direct and overt takeover attempts. I was right along the way to warn various government bodies that this was happening, so response could have been organised. but because the communication technology has thrown the British off balance so much, we're so wobbly intellectually, thiomatically, we've had no backbone, no resistance, we couldn't work out what was happening, so we'd lost the control of the country, effectively, lost control of borders. But now intelligent people are actually looking at the problem. It's going to resolve itself. So Bet is clearly correct. We're in a sort of a low-level civil war situation. It's just that obviously generally most people around are bumbling about the world, tourists and this kind of thing, and things are generally civil in most parts of the country. But that's because of this low-level balkanisation in places like Birmingham. But of course, if you are there in the local authority and you're being forced out, well, that shows you what happened when this spread, doesn't it? So it becomes more overt in places like this because the beauty and the history are in your face more. The sort of ugliness of the encroach stands out more, but it's also the history of the place. I mean, this place is one of the most fortified countries in world history. Nobody was ever able to take this place from its rightful inhabitants, nor should they. I don't think you'd ask anybody in the world if you were to erase the Scots, would they agree to that? Nor do I think it's very likely, given some of the guys who come out of the fog here. But as sort of a staging post to deal with various criminal matters, if you want to throw yourself into a barrister's position, or just give respect to the Scottish legal profession, that's again an exciting potential career change to think about. So it's a bad idea, this. I mean, over the years you've wanted to do various things, minor accountancy, this kind of stuff. I suppose you wanted to follow in the late father's footsteps, but couldn't because he was such an awful tosser. But now he's gone. Once matters in Birmingham, I suppose, are resolved, by which I get a direct line, so I can just howl at them into a microphone every day, get some matters resolved via a compliant woman doing something. That was the problem. They would refuse to give us staff because that would have revealed their incompetence and corruption as well. But we get someone within the bureaucracy transcribing statements so it can be properly addressed. They're getting one daily anyway till Rona gets nicked, so we can start process back and forth and help the clinical literature regardless whether they kill me or not, and the historical literature, political theory literature, all this kind of stuff for the Birmingham University, which I got into after many years. Thank you very much, Joe and Ronnie. I'm sure I'll get an honorary degree after getting rid of Hegel. While the pre-Christmas political theory project is concluding with her arrest, I can train possibly to be a Scottish prosecutor and give respect to the great history of Scottish law. I just need police at this point. I mean, we're starting at the bottom and working my way up.